you cannot ever blame the fact that Robyn and I had a deep love on the way that these other relationships.
It always starts the same way. Another email slides into the inbox, this time from a woman who says she's curious, who says she wants to get to know the family. But let's be honest, what she really means is she's testing the waters to see if Kody Brown is open to wife number 5. That's the kind of message that, on the surface, seems harmless. But in Kody's world, it's like striking a match in a room already filled with gasoline fumes. And tonight, I need you to pour yourself a strong cup of coffee, because what I'm about to share with you will shake every single assumption you've ever made about Kody's so-called spiritual journey. This isn't just drama, this is exposure. Picture it now, a quiet Tuesday night, when most people are winding down, scrolling lazily through social media, and catching up on the headlines. But one of our most dedicated Sister Wives fans isn't just scrolling, she's digging. She's the kind of woman who notices when the grocery store rearranges the aisles, who can recall word for word what someone wore to their daughter's wedding 3 years ago. This is the kind of sharp observer who never lets details slip. On this particular evening, she's piecing together fragments from updates, interviews, and social posts. And that's when it happens. A breadcrumb trail appears before her eyes, subtle at first, then clearer with each click, until she uncovers something so stunning it makes Kody's infamous "I didn't love you" confession look like small-town gossip in comparison. The signs are right there, hiding in plain sight. Kody himself once admitted, "I have this wife, Robyn, and she would never let me do anything bad, as much as I might want to." But our investigator saw through the facade. She noticed Kody's online activity wasn't just random. It wasn't just cryptic quotes or posts about his curls anymore. It was deliberate, purposeful, calculated. The kind of digital footprint every woman who's ever had suspicions about her partner would recognize instantly. So she started screenshotting, cross-checking, and documenting. Side by side, she lined up what Kody was saying in public, his repeated claims that polygamy was dead to him, with the trail his keyboard left behind. And what emerged was the oldest story in the book. A man preaching one thing in front of the cameras, while secretly chasing the very thing he swore he'd buried. Think about it. For months, Kody has been telling anyone who will listen that plural marriage is repulsive and that he's never doing it again. But in the shadows of his own laptop screen, the truth spills out. He's not just politely entertaining women who message him, as teased in season 20 previews. He's the one seeking them out. Emails, dating sites, direct messages that start innocent but quickly veer into talk of spiritual families, divine arrangements, and being chosen. It isn't an accident. It's a pattern, a routine, a campaign. And all of it points toward one undeniable goal. Kody Brown is on the hunt for wife number 5. Now here's where the story tilts from. Shocking to downright infuriating. Because while Kody is busy playing digital Romeo, carefully crafting messages to new prospects, his actual children, the ones who already exist, who already need him, are left abandoned. Sources close to the family claim the timeline couldn't be clearer. The same weeks Kody spends hours writing to strange women, his kids' phone calls go unanswered. Birthdays slip by without a text. Messages from children desperate for even a moment of their father's attention vanish into the void. One insider revealed that while Kody was deep in conversation with a potential new wife, his daughter Truly's calls went straight to voicemail, day after day. And let's be honest, this isn't just gossip. This is a pattern of choices, showing exactly where Kody's heart lies. Imagine being a teenager like Truly, trying to keep some fragile connection with your father, only to be met with silence while he spends those same hours introducing himself to women on fundamentalist dating forums. And Truly isn't alone. Multiple Brown kids, according to insiders, have lived this cycle of neglect. Ignored calls, overlooked birthdays, unread Father's Day messages, all while their dad invests emotional energy into women he hasn't even met in person. The contrast is so sharp, it's cruel. One of the most heartbreaking examples comes from Father's Day itself. While several of Kody's kids reached out, sending him messages and invitations, he allegedly spent the day chatting online with a woman about her spiritual readiness and whether she'd move to Arizona. His kids' messages sat unopened until the following Tuesday. Think about that for a moment. A father with time to type out page-long explanations of plural family dynamics to a stranger, but no time to respond to his daughter about her soccer game. No time to answer simple questions. No time to show up. Every mother in the world knows the truth here. You make time for what matters. Kody has proven with his own behavior what matters most to him. And tragically, it isn't his kids. But it gets worse. The digital trail shows he isn't just entertaining women who knock on his door. He's actively hunting them out. Polygamous dating sites, spiritual forums, mutual connections whispered about in tight-knit fundamentalist circles. He's out there fishing. Meanwhile, his own children are left wondering why their father has time to chase fantasies of new wives, but no time to remember their middle names. Why he can pour his heart into convincing a stranger about plural marriage, but can't spend 10 minutes checking in on the kids who lived through it. The bitter irony cuts deep. While Kody shops for someone new to shower with attention and energy, his children are forced into a competition they never asked for, competing against fantasies that haven't even stepped into their lives yet. And the neglect doesn't happen in isolation. It's perfectly timed to overlap with his efforts to win back sympathy from his ex-wives. He tells Meri, Janelle, and Christine he's sorry, that he wants healing, that he regrets the pain. But his actions prove the opposite. It's manipulation, plain and simple. And make no mistake, this isn't new behavior. This is Kody Brown's playbook, one he's been perfecting since the early 1990s. To really understand what he's doing, now you have to rewind to the beginning. First came Meri, the original Mrs. Brown, back in 1990. Kody swept her off her feet with talk of eternal families and divine purpose. 3 years later, he brought in Janelle. 2 years after that, Christine. The strategy was always the same. Find a woman searching for spiritual meaning, overwhelm her with charm, promises, and attention, then fold her into the family. The same cycle, over and over. But here's what most people miss. Every new wife conveniently entered Kody's life at a moment of stress or financial strain. Meri was seeking direction. Janelle was desperate for stability. Christine was a young mom overwhelmed with responsibility. Each woman was vulnerable, and Kody swooped in with the promise of salvation. Fast forward to 2010 and enter Robyn, divorced, struggling, emotionally raw. Kody's strategy had evolved by then. He had perfected it. He promised not just love, but a future, not just support, but elevation. And Robyn wasn't just another wife. She became the favorite, the weapon he used to edge out the others. Now, here we are again. The language hasn't changed. The tactics haven't changed. The manipulation hasn't changed. Kody is once more dedicating hours to conversations, learning about dreams, targeting vulnerabilities, painting himself as the answer. It's the exact same script, just played on a digital stage this time. And the ugliest truth? Every single wife acquisition in Kody's past came with either financial benefit or a boost to his public image. They were never just about love or destiny. They were about power, about brand Kody. But this time it's different, and far more dangerous. Because less than a year ago, Kody looked into cameras and said plural marriage disgusted him, that he'd never go back. He told the world it was repulsive. And yet, the very evidence now points to him plotting his next conquest in secret. The hypocrisy is staggering, but the betrayal of his children, that's unforgivable.
You know, I don't want to be sexist here, but why does a guy have to sleep on the couch? It's his room too.
Sources close to production claim that while cameras rolled on Kody's teary confessions about monogamous bliss with Robyn, his phone was buzzing with private conversations from women eager to join a plural family. Think about the sheer double life this requires. On one hand, he's choking up in interviews about how destructive polygamy was, while on the other, he's carefully nurturing conversations with prospective wives behind the scenes. Kody has perfected the art of crying for the public while plotting his next move in private. And when you track the timeline, the truth practically screams off the page. January 2024. I will never practice polygamy again. March 2024. First documented contact with a potential fifth wife. June 2024. Multiple active conversations with women exploring plural marriage. September 2024. Season 20 begins, marketed as his redemption story with ex-wives. Every woman who's ever caught someone in a lie recognizes this exact pattern. The two emphatic declarations, the suspiciously timed statements, the carefully choreographed public persona covering up a very different private reality. But here's where it gets even darker. Kody isn't only deceiving the public or the production team. He's allegedly lying to Robyn herself, the one woman who's defended him for years. While she's reassuring the world that their monogamy is stable and fulfilling, he's secretly laying groundwork for wife number 5. The same religious language he used in the past remains, but now it feels stripped of sincerity, transactional, rehearsed, calculated. Earlier wives were at least pursued under the guise of faith. This new search reeks of ego and desperation to rebuild an empire of adoration. And experienced viewers have spotted the truth immediately. This isn't romance, this isn't destiny, it's textbook narcissistic hoovering disguised as a spiritual awakening. For anyone unfamiliar, hoovering is when someone who's lost their supply of validation tries to reel people back in with staged apologies, hollow promises, and sudden vulnerability. Sound familiar? Kody's doing it with Christine, Janelle, and Meri. Dinner invitations, scripted apologies, and even admissions like, "I didn't love you," only to soften the blow later. This isn't love, it's bait. Survivors of manipulative relationships see the pattern instantly. What makes this case more chilling is the purpose behind it. Kody doesn't just want his ex-wives emotionally tethered, he wants them as references. From a new wife's perspective, questions about past. Marriages are inevitable. If Kody can parade around reconciliations and mutual forgiveness, he paints himself as a misunderstood man who's grown, instead of the root of the dysfunction. Every dinner, every apology, every filmed reunion isn't about closure. It's about building a portfolio for his next wife interview. Meanwhile, the most damning contrast is in plain sight. Kody can stage hours-long apology dinners for TV, yet he won't return a single text from his own children. He has energy for dramatic camera-ready reconciliations, but can't send a 2-line reply to his daughter asking about her school event. And that brings us to the smoking gun, the financial forensics that blow this entire charade wide open. Because the timeline of his wife-hunting spree doesn't just overlap with his redemption tour, it perfectly lines up with custody battles, property disputes, and child support filings. March 2024, Kody makes his first digital contact with Isa's potential 5th wife, the very same month Christine files paperwork for custody and support for Truly. Coincidence? Not a chance. The alignment is too precise to ignore. His most intense courting activity, April through June 2024, mirrors the heat of property division negotiations over Coyote Pass. While his ex-wives were battling for the fair division of assets they helped build, Kody was sweet-talking strangers about someday sharing that very property in Arizona. Imagine the audacity, using the same land he was trying to keep from his family as bait for a new woman. It's like showing off a house to buyers while still locked in court, fighting your spouse for ownership. The boldness is breathtaking. And when you look closer, it's even more calculating. Sources suggest that every heartfelt dinner with an ex-wife, every sudden burst of apologies, was carefully timed right before major court deadlines or mediation sessions. Any woman who's been through a messy divorce recognizes this instantly. It's the classic "I've changed" routine used to sway negotiations, to convince someone to take less than they deserve. The sudden spiritual awakening that only appears when child support and asset division are on the table. And here's the final insult. During the exact same months Kody was allegedly crying poor to avoid fair property settlements, he was reportedly making financial plans with potential wife number 5. Leaked messages reportedly show Kody discussing everything from where a new wife would live, to how the budget would work, to what kind of financial safety he could provide. Let that sink in. This man cries poverty when it comes to supporting the children he already has, but he's promising security and stability to a woman he's never even met face to face. The priorities are crystal clear. His wants always come first, while his existing family gets pushed to the sidelines. And when the timeline hit the sister wives viewing community, the response was explosive. Picture it. A digital detective drops her findings in a Facebook group at 2:47 on a random Wednesday. Within 20 minutes, the comments are overflowing. Within An hour. The post has been shared in quilting groups, mom chats, and family text threads nationwide. By evening, outrage has spread through every corner of the Sister Wives community, and this wasn't just anger, it was recognition. Women everywhere saw their own experiences reflected back at them. The Facebook comments lit up with stories of men who made financial promises to new girlfriends while neglecting kids from previous marriages. "This is exactly what my ex did," one viewer wrote. "He claimed he couldn't afford child support but somehow found the money to spoil his new partner." Another chimed in, "The way Kody ignores his kids' calls while chasing new Chi. Women reminds me of my father. Same script, new decade." The most chilling responses came from women who had escaped fundamentalist systems themselves. They immediately recognized the spiritual language being twisted as cover for narcissism. "He's not being called by faith," one former plural wife wrote. "He's being driven by ego." Soon, the discussion spilled out of online groups and into real life. PTA meetings, book clubs, even casual coffee chats became impromptu. Therapy sessions about manipulation tactics, financial abuse, and red flags in relationships. Mothers watching the show saw Truly's unanswered calls and were instantly transported back to their own children waiting by the phone for a parent who never showed up. The empathy was overwhelming, and it turned the Sister Wives fan base into something far more powerful than a gossip community. It became a collective support network. Divorce survivors shared strategies for protecting assets. Ex-fundamentalists broke down how patriarchal systems exploit women. And viewers who'd seen it all before were handing out roadmaps on how to spot a manipulator before it's too late. What started as reality TV commentary became a grassroots masterclass in survival tactics. For the first time in years, the focus wasn't on Kody's theatrics. It was on his children, the ones paying the real emotional price. Insiders whisper that some of the older Brown kids have noticed the online storm and felt both overwhelmed and strangely validated. Imagine being Truly, scrolling through social media and realizing thousands of strangers across the country are angry on your behalf. Strangers calling out the very same patterns you've endured: unanswered calls, missed milestones, and the constant feeling that you're competing with dad's next love interest for scraps of attention. That kind of public recognition could shift her entire understanding of what's normal. And then there's the silence from the older children, a silence that speaks louder than words. Not one of them has stepped forward to defend their father. In family dynamics like these, absence is testimony. The ex-wives, meanwhile, have responded in subtle but telling ways. Christine beams in her new marriage, making it clear she's looking forward, not back. Janelle posts about self-worth and moving forward, pointed, though never directly naming Kody. And Meri's sudden quiet is perhaps the loudest signal of all. Experts on narcissistic cycles will tell you, the final stage of healing comes when you stop engaging altogether. Beyond the family, the wider fundamentalist community is watching too, nodding grimly. They've seen this exact playbook before. A man draped in spiritual authority, using scripture to excuse selfish choices, prioritizing his desires over the very people he claims to lead. But the fallout doesn't stop with personal heartbreak. Family law experts are beginning to weigh in, and the legal implications could be devastating for Kody. Courts don't look kindly on parents who plead poverty during custody battles while secretly planning budgets with new partners. That contradiction alone can damage credibility in front of a judge. Add in the timing, wife shopping ramping up in the same months as custody negotiations, and lawyers are already pointing to manipulation. Every apology dinner, with an X timed right before a legal deadline, it's ammunition for Christine's legal team to argue he wasn't sincere, he was strategic. And custody judges in particular pay attention to patterns. A parent who ignores children's calls while chasing new romances is showing exactly where their priorities lie, and that can affect visitation, financial obligations, even long-term custody arrangements. And then there's the bigger picture, the destruction of Kody's carefully built persona. The entire Sister Wives franchise was sold on the idea of spiritual calling and divine family structure. Now it's collapsing under the weight of one man's obsession with control and validation. Viewers are asking the obvious. How do you keep calling it Sister Wives when the central figure claims to be done with polygamy yet secretly? Shops for another wife? The contradiction is too glaring, the hypocrisy too blatant. Even die-hard fans are questioning how much of what they've watched was ever real. Former polygamists are calling it out as a textbook cautionary tale. And ordinary families are using it as a case study in what happens when romantic pursuits come before parental responsibilities. The red flags are crystal clear. When someone cries broke to avoid child support but finds money for a new romance, that's manipulation. When apologies arrive right before court dates, that's strategy. When a parent has energy for dating apps but not their own kids, that reveals their true priorities. And perhaps the greatest irony is this. Kody's desperate attempt to rebuild his empire of adoration has instead created a detailed public record of his character. Every unanswered call, every rehearsed apology, every secret message has been cataloged by a community of women who know exactly what they're looking at. His children deserve far better. They deserve a father who shows up, not one who hides behind spiritual jargon and camera-ready tears. Whether they'll ever get that is uncertain, but one thing's for sure. The world is watching, the children finally have advocates, and Kody's empire of excuses is crumbling. So what do you think? Will Kody actually find someone willing to sign up as wife number 5? Or has his manipulation finally caught up to him? And if the courts step in, would you cheer more for custody changes or for the financial reality check that's about to land on his doorstep? Drop your thoughts. In the comments below, tap that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. Because trust me, this story is only getting messier from here.